Holy moly, it's good to be back talking about the big bad batch here, and what a chapter that we've got to talk about here. So let's not waste any time. Let's just dive straight into this.
Like, I hate wasted potential. That shit crushes your spirit. It really does. It crushes your spirit.
First of all, as always, please be sure to like and subscribe if you've not already. Follow me on Instagram and consider supporting the Patreon for exclusive behind-the-scenes content and all that good stuff. Anyways, I think we might have been underestimating Yura here, just a smidge, just a little bit. Because before Yura, the only real demonstration that we'd had of the Shinuichi here was from Yora. And obviously, Yora was grievously wounded and injured. And on top of this, Soga was actively invading this guy's mind. He was trying to get it. But it seems Soga wasn't allowing Yora to have access to the Shinuichi in the same way that he'd have liked to. And now we've got Yora using the sword and fending off not just Chihiro, but also Samura, with what I can only describe as relative ease. I mean, he's sure he might be spamming a few combos here with the Spider Dragonfly type shit, but he's doing it with relative ease, and might I also add, without being an adept sword bearer, a sword wielder. Like, he's not like a master of a sword style here, as Uraha pointed out. He's just dexterous and strong and really quick. He's overly athletic. He's definitely not wielding a sword to the same degree as Soga or Samura or even Chihiro perhaps, but this showing of the Shinuichi, it definitely feels like it's the second stop in a 3-stage plan that Hokuzono is really laying it out for us here. I think he wants to show us what the sword can really do, but in stages. I mean, look at the comparison of this spider, and then look at this spider from Yura here. And once again, look at the comparison of these two centipedes. And then look at the centipedes that Soga was throwing about back when they were all fighting. Everything that Hokuzono is showing us here right now feels like he is building up to being shown the Shinuichi's power truly in all of its glory. You could even potentially say that each showing of the Shinuichi sort of marks a turning point within the series almost. And I think what really caught me off guard within this chapter, throughout the chapter, is how quickly Yura is getting stronger and more acquainted with the Shinuichi itself. These blades take years to fucking master. There was a massive selection process in order to find the right wielders for these swords, to get a handle on them, and yet Yura is handling this sword as if he's had it his entire life. And he's putting serious pressure upon Chihiro and Samura here. Samura even at one point saying, Yura isn't contracted to blade yet, he's only commanding the powers indirectly, and if we can kill Yura here, it resolves this battle, but the Swordmaster is another battle. And this got me thinking that maybe Soga here is potentially going to get free. You see, there's been a lot of people working together to get Yura to the point where he can get the Magatsumi or the Shinuichi, and so far so good. It's all gone really well for Yura, and he's able to even stand atop the very prison where Soga is being kept. But in chapter 100, Yura did something really interesting, and that was that he called the Magatsumi blade to him. That blade just spawned out of the floor to his very hands. And I think it's clear at this point in time that Soga is definitely willing to see and wait to find out what Yura's really about here, what he can do. Now, what's to say that Chihiro and Samura potentially win this fight, defeat Yura, or making it so that Yura can't even fight or wield the Shinuichi, maybe cut off an arm or something like that, and then Soga just simply summons the fucking blade to him and leaves the prison right after. I mean, Samura is worried about the fight that comes after Yura here, which makes me wonder if he's of the same mind that Soga is gonna break free after Yura is gone, or potentially sooner. However, we do get some more useful information in regards to the Magatsumi's power. The Magatsumi's enchanted blade affects vitality, stealing it from others and giving it to its master. Its powers elevate all activities associated with vitality. And I think it explains right here why Yura all of a sudden just got this massive strength buff when he was fighting Chihiro the first time around. However, there is a few key differences here, is that Yura is actively being healed by the sword, as Chihiro notes. Now, I quote, "He always had great reflexes, but this is something else entirely. It's as if my wounds heal automatically." Now, I do want to clarify things here because I feel like I've seen a little bit of confusion about this, just in case you might be confused. Chihiro is talking about Yura's wounds here that have been inflicted by Chihiro or Samura, because you can see Yura's arm basically healing. He's the only person wearing a white shirt in this fight, basically, and it's a white shirt being shown. And Yura right now is basically sort of running his own version of Suzaku, I suppose. You can see an injury on his arm healing almost instantly right after it's been cut. Now, this is obviously something that didn't happen with Yura, because again, Yura states that he can only wield the very tip of the Shinuichi. Now, it makes me wonder if Soga is definitely putting the pedal to the metal with how much Yura can use of the Shinuichi's powers, and taking his pedals off the accelerator here for trying to stop him or hamper him, I suppose. However, Much like what I mentioned before, Samura notes that he's getting closer and closer, and apparently he can't unsheath this sword, but to what extent he can use its powers is unclear. Now, Samura is looking upon Yora right now during this fight and actively thinking about Soga. He's thinking about the Swordmaster, and he's thinking about the fight that they had with him all those years ago, and he's thinking to himself, this dude's getting fucking close to what he could do. Now, if that doesn't scare you, it should, because back then, it took all of the sword bearers to deal with the Swordmaster, and right now we only have 2 plus Shiba. Not to discredit these guys, but I feel like we're going to need a little bit more to deal with the Shinuichi. Now, speaking of Shiba, we do get to see Shiba moving full speed ahead through all of these buildings, evacuating civilians out of these buildings here where these guys are all fighting. And he does it before Yora can even use this spider stun attack. Now, what I really like about this is that Samura is aware of this dude because of his hearing. Because his hearing is so superhuman, he's literally hearing Shiba's little feeties tapping the floor as he teleports in and out of the place, grabbing people. I mean, I don't know if he's hearing his feet, but he's definitely hearing something. And it's obviously not the first time that we've been shown something like this from Samura, because remember, during his fight with Chihiro, he literally, in that standoff, Samura struck out against Chihiro because he heard Chihiro swallowing in anticipation of the attack. That was his signal to go, I'm going to rip this building apart now. Now, however, none of this is making any difference because Yora launches a spider attack, but because of Samura's Suzaku flames, it begins to nullify the effects of the spider for within less than a second. Now, I kinda like this idea that Samura isn't just the healer, but he's also this guy that kind of just gets rid of debuffs on himself and on his party. I keep thinking of all these blades as like a sort of an RPG party, I suppose. However, getting rid of these debuffs isn't enough, because being stun locked for only less than a second, there's enough time for Yora to start combo spamming dragonflies on Samura. One to send him across the city, and another to take out half of his body. And before all of this happens, I need to talk about something incredibly interesting within this chapter that I would like to talk about, because I think it's something that could potentially, bear with me, this is a little bit cynical for me, but I do think that this is something that could possibly, and I do mean possibly, like 10% chance, 10%, 1% chance of this being a double-edged sword for Hokuzono. You see, it's revealed that, much like Samura's Suzaku ability, being able to fix broken buildings and whatnot, so too can Crow teleport objects. He can extend Crow to not just himself, he can teleport a whole object. He teleports this train cart up into the sky. Now, it's possible Samura might have just managed to do this right now on the fly with how intense the battle is, or it's possible that this is something that he's been able to do all along, right? He's probably been able to do it since, you know, he was able to do this with Suzaku. Now, what I will say is I'm not sure if I'm a fan of powers randomly developing like this. Hear me out. Don't come for me in the comments. Listen to me. Now, what I will say is I'm not sure if I'm a fan of powers randomly developing like this. While, yes, it has been theoretically explained that the powers of these blades can change vastly based on whoever is wielding the swords, I'm skeptical a little bit. And I do mean like 10% chance that I'm skeptical of this being a double-edged sword, because so far Hokuzono has been really great with not only his depictions of these powers, but also how they affect the narrative within the story. I guess I'm just a wee bit concerned that the true realms of these swords may end up producing some abilities that potentially back Hokuzono into corners that he may have to create crazy abilities to get himself out of that might feel a bit unearned. This is just baseless concerns of my own based on previous experiences with Battle Shonen manga, so again, don't come for me in the comments. This is just a little bit of cynicism that crossed my mind while reading this. Now, speaking of usefulness to the narrative, let's talk about Samura for a little minute here, because not only is Samura easily, by the way, glaze mode here, easily my favorite character within the series, but twice now, he has been absolutely pivotal within pushing the narrative forward. Samura's goal to end Soga's life hinged on him killing the sword bearers first, and then healing them and resurrecting them with Suzaku in order to break their contracts with the Shinuichi. And then that is obviously an ability that he developed over the course of 18 years to obviously revive these people. Now, Suzaku once again is becoming a pivotal ability in pushing Chihiro forward in his fight against Yora, but is also acting as a way to strip away the control of the Magatsumi from Yora by burning him with these flames. Just as he was using these flames to get rid of the spider debuff on him, he's doing the same thing to try and strip the control of the Magatsumi away from Yura. Now, as I mentioned before, this basically makes Samura incredibly important to the plot of this series. If Samura stays alive, Yura struggles harder and harder to get what he wants, right? That's how this works. And this, in turn, paints a fucking massive target upon Samura's back, because quite frankly, that scares me, to be honest with you. And why it scares me is because I imagine during the battle against Soga, Samura's abilities were probably quite a pain in the ass to fucking deal with. Imagine every time you cut down a sword bearer, they just get instant Phoenix down and revived, right? And due to his sword's powers, Yura is now experiencing these sort of same problems. Now, Yura right now wants the Magatsumi all to himself, and Soga is watching and waiting to see what happens, essentially. He's even took his invasion of Yura's mind away here to just let Yura fight unimpeded, I guess. And while Yura is currently being burnt by these flames of mercy and is being potentially stripped of the control of the Magatsumi here, it's entirely possible that Yura's healing ability from the Magatsumi is also bringing that control back. So we're just seeing like a nasty, vicious cycle. But I suppose it depends on how much each ability heals and how fast each ability heals. But it's making me really concerned because Yura could just immediately turn his attention to Samura and be like, you need to fucking go immediately because you're a ball ache. So yeah, I could see him making a move to try and stop Samura's firepower. Speaking of firepower, there is someone that we have yet to see appear on the battlefield yet. So it might not be all doom and gloom in terms of how Yora's going to get out of this predicament. But again, there is still a lot of the Hishaku lurking around here that potentially might interfere. So very scared, very nervous about these upcoming chapters. I feel like I said this in previous videos, but the series feels like it's genuinely at the end. I know it's not, but it feels that way. It's got these really like intense final battle vibes. Like you just don't know which way this thing is going to go right now. Anyways, that is it from me. It's good to be talking about Bachi again. Also, fuck Shueisha, because they just claimed another video of mine. I got it back, but they just claimed it because fuck them, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, yeah, that's everything from me. If you've not already, please be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. And as always, I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Which fucking love. Big fucking kisses. Peace.